What if one of the richest men in the world had secret access to government systems, and no one was watching? In this video, we're breaking down how Elon Musk's hidden tech team, known as DOGE, got deep access to sensitive government data, without following the usual rules. We'll show you what whistleblowers discovered, why it matters, and how this could affect national security and workers' rights across the country. Elon Musk's experimental government team, known as DOGE, short for the Department of Government Efficiency, was introduced as a bold plan to fix slow, outdated government systems. It promised to bring in ideas from the tech world: faster tools, better communication, and fewer delays. Musk said the project would help save money and be completely open and honest with how it worked. On the surface, it looked like a smart way to modernize the government. But behind the scenes, things didn't look as clear as the public statements made it seem. People working inside said DOGE didn't follow normal rules that other federal programs had to follow. A small group, including Musk himself, made big decisions without going through the usual steps or checks. Even though the project claimed it would be transparent, many staff said it felt more like a secretive group that answered to no one. One of the first people to speak up was Daniel Buruis, a cybersecurity expert working with the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB. He noticed that DOGE quickly asked for full, unrestricted access to private government data. This included sensitive information about union cases, worker complaints, and ongoing legal investigations. Musk's team said they needed this access to speed things up, but to Buruis and other tech staff, the request felt like a big red flag. After they got in, DOGE's team started asking for top-level permissions, what IT professionals call God-tier access. This would let them turn off security systems, delete logs, and move around the system without being seen. Normally, this kind of power is given only to a few trusted people, and it has to be approved by several levels of leadership. In this case, it wasn't. Over time, more things started to go wrong. Logs that track who accessed files started disappearing. Scheduled backups of important data went missing. Security alerts were turned off without explanation. Buruis and others raised concerns, but they were either ignored or given unclear answers. That's when Buruis decided to quietly track what was happening, writing down everything, collecting emails, and saving proof. What started as small suspicions turned into what he believed was a serious misuse of power, and possibly something illegal. The most serious part of the situation happened inside the National Labor Relations Board's NLRB secure cloud systems. According to whistleblower Daniel Buruis, things started to go wrong just a few days after the DOGE team was given high-level access. The tools that normally keep an eye on the system, watching who logs in, what files are opened, and if there's any unusual activity, were suddenly turned off. These tools are like digital security cameras. Without them, it's nearly impossible to know what's happening inside the system or if someone is doing something they shouldn't. Not long after those tools were shut down, things got even more suspicious. Important records, called logs, that show who accessed which files and when started disappearing. These logs are very important because they show a clear path of activity, like a trail of footprints. Cybersecurity experts say it's very hard to delete these logs unless you have the highest possible access, something only a few people should have. In this case, someone with that kind of power seemed to be purposely erasing their tracks. What worried Buruis and the other tech workers the most was a sudden and massive increase in data being sent out of the NLRB's systems. The system started pushing out huge amounts of information, far more than what's normal. We're talking about petabytes of data, which equals millions of gigabytes. That's a lot. Buruis believed this data included very sensitive files, like reports about workers' complaints, union cases, and other private information. Some of those files involved companies owned by Elon Musk, including Tesla and SpaceX. Even though these problems were clearly serious, early warnings were ignored. When Buruis and others asked for help from outside investigators, their requests were brushed off or delayed. Part of the reason was because DOGE operated in a confusing way. It didn't follow the usual government rules, and there weren't many people watching over it. That made it hard for anyone inside the agency to take action. Feeling stuck and worried, Buruis decided to take his findings to Congress. He knew it was risky, but he felt like it was the only way someone would finally listen. Perhaps the most shocking technical discovery involved foreign access attempts. Just 15 minutes after a new admin credential was generated within the NLRB cloud system, a Russian-based IP address attempted to log in using that exact username and password. Cybersecurity staff confirmed that the credentials used were valid. This timing raised immediate red flags. Either the credential data was leaked through insider access, or a foreign actor had direct observation or access to the system as it was being modified. Multiple attempts followed over the next hour, each traced to a server cluster located in Moscow. Cybersecurity analysts noted that this behavior was highly consistent with state-sponsored interference. The sophistication of the attack, knowing when credentials were created and how to use them immediately, suggested either an internal leak or an embedded observer. The involvement of a Russian IP, combined with the scale of the breach, pointed to possible espionage concerns. The NLRB wasn't the only target either. In later findings, similar IP patterns were noticed across the Treasury and Department of Energy Systems, where DOJ also had partial access. After submitting a confidential complaint to congressional oversight committees, Boruis began receiving threats. One morning, a photo of his house, taken by a drone, was found taped to his front door, accompanied by a handwritten note saying, "You talk, you're next." This was the turning point that pushed him to testify publicly. Drone surveillance, while not illegal in many jurisdictions, becomes criminal when used for harassment or intimidation. Boruis's legal team contacted federal authorities and placed him under temporary protective services, citing fear for his safety and the growing threat to his family. Attempts were also made to discredit him internally. Sources said an anonymous internal memo circulated attempting to question his mental fitness, claiming he was paranoid and disruptive. These are classic tactics used in whistleblower retaliation, often aimed at undermining credibility. Despite these dangers, Boruis testified before a closed-door session of a congressional oversight committee, presenting logs, internal emails, and data transfer evidence. Several senators have since called for a formal inquiry into DOJ's operations and its impact on federal cybersecurity. At the heart of this story is more than just a data breach. It's the potential manipulation of federal data for corporate gain. The NLRB handles labor disputes, union cases, and internal worker complaints. If Tesla or SpaceX had visibility into ongoing legal actions against them, they could preemptively alter strategy or silence dissent. There are currently over a dozen open NLRB cases involving Elon Musk's companies. The idea that someone with a vested interest in those cases might have had unauthorized access to case files and legal evidence is deeply concerning. This would represent not only a conflict of interest, but potentially a violation of federal labor protections. Even more troubling is the precedent this sets. If a billionaire with ties to federal departments can operate with unchecked access and limited oversight, it creates a blueprint for similar abuses in other sectors. It raises fundamental questions about government transparency, data protection, and accountability in public-private tech partnerships. Ultimately, this scandal underscores the urgent need for systemic reform and oversight. When whistleblowers face drone threats and Congress is forced to uncover secrets buried beneath layers of bureaucracy, it's not just a data breach, it's a national security issue and a democracy crisis waiting to explode. This isn't just a tech story, it's a wake-up call. When government systems get infiltrated, when whistleblowers are threatened, and when billionaires play by different rules, it stops being about efficiency and starts being about power. And if this can happen inside the NLRB, where else is it happening? We hope you enjoyed uncovering the secrets behind Elon Musk's hidden government access. From missing logs to foreign login attempts, this story is only getting started, and the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Watch the next videos to keep exploring the hidden side of power, money, and influence.